Chosen one, you will never beg again. The rich life begins after this. This is the moment your soul has longed for. The invisible line where everything begins to change and all the silent suffering, all the unanswered questions, all the aching nights of why and when are finally given a voice. And that voice echoes through the heavens with one undeniable truth. You will never beg again. This is not just a statement. It is a divine declaration. It is a turning point, a decree that breaks every chain of lack and releases you into the realm where divine abundance, wealth, peace, and purpose converge to build a life you were always destined to walk in. This isn't just about riches in the physical form, but also the overflowing wealth of clarity, alignment, supernatural provision, and spiritual fulfillment that can no longer be denied to you. Watch this video until the end. Because if you miss even 1 second, you may miss the divine detail meant to awaken the rich life that's been chasing you for years. And write your warmest wishes in the comments along with the number 777. Let your wish go forward into the universe like a signal, and let this community echo it back as a confirmation. You will never beg again. You will never beg for help, for money, for healing, for love, or for understanding. Because after this, it's all about divine overflow. Let's energize the universe with this vibration. Right now. Now, chosen one, like this video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel, and let's begin. The old chapter is closing. You may not have heard the creak of the door behind you, but spiritually, it's already sealed shut. No more begging for support, no more scraping for attention, no more hoping someone sees your value. The days where your worth was discounted, where your power was ignored, where your calling was delayed by people who couldn't see it, those days are over. And you don't need to convince anyone that this shift is real. You don't need to explain why the old system of surviving won't work for you anymore. Because this is not a negotiation. This is a coronation. Yes, that's what this really is. The throne you thought you weren't qualified for? The crown you felt you had to wait 10 more years to wear? The abundance you thought was only for the famous, the privileged, the lucky? You were wrong. The crown was always yours. The life of overflow, peace, dignity, and riches was always written with your name on it. But God was waiting for the perfect moment when your character was shaped, your wisdom was developed, and your spirit was finally aligned with your destiny. That moment is now. And after this, your life will never look the same. What does it mean to never beg again? It means you're stepping into such powerful alignment with your divine identity that resources begin to flow toward you without you having to chase. The money comes looking for you. The open doors seek you out. The favor follows you like a shadow that never leaves. You don't have to shrink. You don't have to over-explain. You don't have to hustle for scraps anymore. The rich life begins not when you see the wealth, but when you embody the truth that you were never created to beg. You were created to receive. You were created to reign. Let's be honest. There were days when begging felt like the only option. Maybe not always out loud, but in spirit. Begging for someone to love you right. Begging for someone to notice your gift. Begging for one more chance. One open door. One day of peace. You gave so much of yourself hoping it would be your ticket out. But all along, God was watching. Not to punish you, but to see how much pressure you could handle before your blessing burst open. And now, since you did not fold under that pressure, since you did not curse your calling in the dark, heaven has decided you will never beg again. That endurance activated the inheritance. Now, the wealth transfer begins. And it begins not with a deposit in your bank account, but with a divine deposit in your mindset. This is why this moment is critical. If you believe this message in your bones, it will begin to reshape your future. You'll start to walk differently, speak differently, expect differently. You'll stop seeking validation from small people and start remembering that your provision was never in their hands to begin with. You'll stop searching for scraps and start expecting surplus, and not just for you, but for your family, for your bloodline, for your future generations. This is how generational begging ends, with one person who says, "No more." That person is you. There is a realm called divine ease, and it is your next home. You've lived long enough in the wilderness of struggle, the city of delay, the house of confusion. But now you are relocating, spiritually and naturally, to a higher place. A place where your yes is honored, where your prayers are answered quickly, where your presence commands respect without even raising your voice. The rich life begins when you no longer chase things beneath your destiny, when your energy becomes too expensive for drama, too valuable for disrespect, too royal for second-hand opportunities. There will be people who won't understand this version of you. Let them. Let them stay confused while you stay called. You don't need to convince anyone of the breakthrough happening in your life. You are not here to beg for support. You are here to walk in favor. The rich life does not mean luxury for vanity. It means overflow for purpose. You are blessed to build, to heal, to lead, to shine, and, yes, to enjoy. Don't be afraid to enjoy the riches coming your way. The joy is holy. The peace is sacred. The wealth is a reward. After what you've survived, you deserve to live without apology. You are not a mistake. You are a miracle in motion. Everything that broke you was actually building you. Everything you lost was actually making space. You didn't come this far to remain dependent on broken systems and borrowed energy. You came this far because deep down, you knew there was a better way, a richer way, a divinely ordered, God-sponsored, heaven-approved rich life. And now that you've reached this vibration, nothing can drag you back. Not the old mindset, not the old relationships, not even the old habits. You are crossing into a realm where abundance isn't just an option. It's the new norm. Let the world be shocked by your glow-up. Let the ones who counted you out be surprised when your name is called first. Let your haters ask, how did they do it? And when they do, you won't need to boast. You'll simply smile and say, after that moment, I never had to beg again. That will be your testimony. You won't need to tell the whole story. Your life will become the story. Your walk will preach louder than your words. Your wealth will be a signal to the world that God keeps promises. So now, chosen one, as you let this truth pour into your bones, understand something essential. The reason you will never beg again is not because you have finally become good enough, but because you have finally remembered that you were never disqualified in the first place. Somewhere in the depths of your soul, there is a room that holds your true identity, a place untouched by the disappointments of the past, unscarred by the betrayals, unfazed by the losses. And in this room lives the version of you that was always worthy of the rich life. The one who walks in divine inheritance, who no longer settles for crumbs, who realizes that wealth is not something to earn through pleasing people, but something to activate through divine alignment. And now that this version of you has risen from within, the world must adjust. Yes, your environment, your relationships, your income, your health, your future must all now submit to the frequency of someone who will never beg again. This is why so many things have been falling apart lately. Because begging energy cannot coexist with blessing energy. And so the collapse wasn't a punishment, it was preparation. The stripping away was not rejection, it was refinement. You lost the job, the connection, the deal, the direction. Not because you were unworthy, but because begging for what didn't match your future was no longer permitted. Heaven removed it so that your hands would be empty enough to receive the real thing. This is why you must not mourn what left. The people who misunderstood you, the opportunities that passed by, the seasons that delayed your progress, they weren't the answer. They were placeholders for a life you were never designed to beg for. And now that you've released the false attachments, you're finally free to hold what's real. The rich life doesn't arrive by accident. It comes when you stop clinging to struggle like it's a badge of honor. It comes when you realize that suffering may have built your strength, but it's not your home. Your soul was made for rest, for beauty, for abundance. And now, your spirit is finally aligned with the truth that you don't have to strive for what already belongs to you. Because the rich life, chosen one, is not just a season, it is a system. And you are being placed into it. A divine system where God funds your vision, where purpose brings provision, where your steps are not wasted and your efforts are not ignored, where time bends in your favor and resources find their way to your hands, as if they've been waiting for you all along. And they have. Oh yes, everything you've been seeking has actually been seeking you, but it needed you to rise to the level where begging was no longer your identity. It needed you to realize that royalty doesn't plead, it prepares. And that's what you've done. You've prepared in silence, in storms, in solitude, and now you are ready to receive. You will begin to notice a shift in how life responds to you. Suddenly, doors that were shut will open without knocking. Connections that felt distant will reappear with purpose. Money that used to trickle in slowly will begin to flow in patterns that seem almost surreal. This is not magic. It's manifestation through alignment. This is what it looks like when you move in sync with your divine purpose. The universe responds not to what you beg for, but to what you believe you already have access to. And you, chosen one, are finally believing it. Not because it's easy, but because it's true. And truth always activates power. Power to break old patterns. Power to shift generations. Power to speak with authority and walk with peace. Power to reject manipulation and welcome miracles. You no longer have to explain your worth, because your results will do the talking. The way you glow, the way you move, the way blessings find you, it will all say one thing: this one does not beg anymore. And the world will listen. Even the very people who once ignored you will now be forced to watch you rise. But not out of vengeance, out of victory. You see, this rich life isn't just your reward. It's your revelation. A reminder to the world that when God decides you're next, no man can block it. Let this message settle in your spirit like a prophecy fulfilled. Let it remind you that the days of asking for permission to prosper are over. You don't need to seek validation from those who couldn't see your vision. You don't need to explain why you're walking away from scarcity. You don't need to make anyone comfortable with your breakthrough. You don't owe anyone a watered-down version of your success just to fit their idea of what you should be. You are not obligated to carry the weight of their misunderstanding anymore. You are free, and in this freedom, you will prosper. It may begin quietly. Maybe it already has. Maybe it's in the small confirmations, the unexpected checks, the divine nudges, the peaceful sleep, the doors you didn't even knock on. But make no mistake, it will become loud. Your success will speak so clearly that even your silence will sound like a victory song. And the beauty of it is, you won't need to force it. You won't have to prove yourself. You'll just live. And in that living, you'll lead others out of the wilderness too. Because your rich life will become a beacon, a lighthouse for others who were told they had to suffer forever. Your life will say, you don't have to beg to be blessed. Chosen one, this moment is not the finish line. It's the beginning. The beginning of a life where divine wealth becomes normal, where miracles aren't the exception, they're the expectation, where joy is no longer postponed, where rest is no longer rare, where you don't have to chase, it comes to you. And no, this won't be because of luck. It will be because of law, the divine law of sowing and reaping, of alignment, of spiritual inheritance. You are in position now, and because you are in position, you will never be in lack again. The rich life begins after this, and it never ends. Because this isn't about a one-time breakthrough, this is about a lifestyle of overflow, a rhythm of reward, a pattern of prosperity. And every single thing that tried to convince you otherwise will be silenced by the evidence of your transformation. They won't believe it until they see it. But you don't need their belief. You've already seen it in the spirit. And now the natural world is catching up. Fast. Rapid restoration. Rapid increase. Rapid reward. It's all coming, not as a surprise, but as a response. You've begged your last day. You've stressed your last night. You've doubted your last promise. Now it's time to live like someone who knows they're rich, not just in money, but in calling, in joy, in protection, in clarity, in peace, in power. You're rich because you're chosen, and chosen ones never have to beg. And now, chosen one, as this transformation deepens, you must prepare not only for what is coming, but for what is already within you. The world is not just going to deliver wealth into your hands randomly. It is going to reflect the wealth that was hidden inside you all along. This isn't about a lucky break or a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. No, this is about divine alignment, unlocking what always belonged to you. The blessings are not foreign. They are familiar. You've felt them in your dreams. You've touched them in your prayers. You've seen glimpses in visions, in desires, too bold to share with others. And now heaven is saying, it's time. Time to experience the life that has been quietly chasing you. The life that is not earned by begging, but stepped into by becoming. You are becoming the version of yourself that doesn't settle for leftovers, doesn't ask for crumbs, doesn't wait for someone to approve the vision that God already authorized. You are becoming the one who no longer waters down their presence to make others feel comfortable. This version of you has boundaries, but also blessings. This version of you is peaceful, but also powerful. This version of you knows that your identity doesn't come from what you possess, but your possession flows naturally from your identity. You've been marked. You've been called. You've been prepared. So now you receive. You receive not because you're desperate. You receive because you're aligned. The rich life begins when you finally stop chasing what cannot hold your weight and start resting in what was always yours by design. This is about becoming the magnet, not the pursuer. Begging is what happens when we forget that we're already divine. When we think we have to prove something to deserve something. But now you know better. Now you remember. And because of this remembrance, the atmosphere around you is changing. Opportunities will start to look for you in places you didn't even expect. People will come with offers you didn't have to pitch for. Resources will begin to assemble around your mission, as if there were angels hand-delivering every detail. And in fact, there are. What you thought was delay was divine arrangement. And now that the time is ripe, the blessings are coming like waves, one after the other, unstoppable. Not because of who you convinced, but because of who you are. This is a harvest not birthed through hustle, but through identity. And this is why some people will not understand. You'll be accused of getting too much too fast, of being too blessed too soon, of rising too high without the traditional steps. But that's because they don't see the spiritual work you've done. They don't understand the pain you survived quietly. They didn't hear the prayers you whispered in the dark, the nights you wrestled with doubt but still chose to believe. You bled in silence. You stayed loyal to your vision while everyone else left. You honored your calling even when it didn't look like it would ever bear fruit. And now the harvest is coming in so big, so bold, so obvious that they won't be able to deny it. But here's the truth, chosen one. You didn't do all of this just for you. The rich life that's beginning after this moment is bigger than your bank account. It's bigger than your comfort. It's bigger than your personal desires. This life is about assignment. It's about legacy. It's about changing your bloodline's narrative. About showing your future generations what it looks like to live under heaven's favor instead of human struggle. This is not selfish wealth. This is sacred wealth. Wealth that builds, not just boasts. Wealth that lifts others while lifting you. Wealth that honors God while prospering your journey. And this is why you can never beg again, because you're too needed. Your wealth is not a prize, it's a tool. Your abundance is not just a blessing, it's a signpost. A message to the world that surrender doesn't mean poverty.